Let's discuss some of the different ways that you can journal, why journaling is so important for your healing journey and your process, and then also how exactly can you journal? If you're new to journaling or if you're just not really sure where to start, what can you do and how can you make progress? In order to explain to you why journaling is so valuable and so beneficial for your journey, I want to explain to you some of the different types of journaling and how they can benefit you. One of my favorite forms of journaling is like journaling for trauma healing. This is essentially where you're going to journal about a traumatic event or a traumatic feeling or trigger, and you're going to ask yourself some questions to really get to the root of that trauma, the root of that emotion. And there's a lot of different things that you can do here, but essentially you're allowing yourself to connect dots and finish playing through emotions that sort of froze in time. You can do journaling for self-discovery if you better want to understand yourself, understand the roots of something, better see and connect the dots of a trigger or a reaction. You can do journaling for inner child healing, inner child work, even just forming a relationship with your inner child and getting to know your inner child. There's journaling for venting and just releasing, a kind of conversation you would have with bestie when you're just dumping all the shit out there because you had a shitty day and you're fucking over it and you just want to let that shit out. That's another great form of journaling. Or when someone really pisses you off and you just need to fucking get it out somewhere because you know that you can't yell at them because that wouldn't be mature. So it's like you can dump that all in your journal, then come back to the person and have like a more rational, reasonable response. So those are just like some different types of journaling. It's important to kind of know why you want to journal, right? If you're going to be journaling, is it because you want to heal something? Is it because you want to better understand yourself? Is it because you want to connect to your inner child or finish playing through a traumatic memory? Is it that you have a specific thing that you really struggle with, like anger or avoidance, and so you want to learn more about why you do that and maybe how you can stop doing that in the future? One thing I want to explain too is our ego really loves to hide our true feelings, our true thoughts, our true emotions, because the ego thinks that it is protecting us. Oh, that feeling is embarrassing. Oh, I'm above feeling that way. So then the ego like hides it from us and you don't even know that you're really fully feeling it. So journaling is a really powerful way to kind of get to the root and really sort of like uplift that ego, get under the ego and start to really understand what is going on. How am I feeling? What are the things that I'm suppressing? Whether they're thoughts or judgments or critiques or emotions or sadness, heartbreak from 20 years ago, whatever it is. Journaling can really help get underneath the ego and like really start to see and feel that stuff again. One thing that's also really cool is once you start to do this more, you start to do it naturally in your day to day without the pen to paper. So if you're doing a lot of journaling to better understand your emotions, at some point in time, you stop needing to sit down at the end of the day to journal about it and you start actually actively processing your emotions throughout the day. And that is super beneficial, super healing, and it really allows you to have a deeper connection to yourself. So love that. Okay, next I want to dive into a little bit more specific on how to journal. How do we go about this? Because that's one of the most popular questions I get is, Danielle, I've never journaled before. I don't understand how to do it. What do I even do? Great question. I'm so glad you asked. So my first recommendation is pick a goal. Do you want to get to know yourself better? Do you want to release some stuff because you don't really talk about a lot of stuff? Do you want to understand where the root of an emotion is coming from? What is your goal? Why do you want to journal? Now, the reason that this is so important is because if you're doing something without having a reason for doing it, it's not going to hit the same. So for example, let's say that you start a new job at a marketing company and the person who's training you hands you a phone and hands you a piece of paper with some lines on it, and they say, call all the people in the system, read this script, and write down their responses. So you call, you talk to them, you write down their responses, and then you give the sheet back to the person who's training you. And they're like, oh, well, how come you didn't renew anyone's membership? And you're like, oh, well, I didn't know that that was the goal of this phone call. And they go, yeah, we were trying to figure out if they wanted to renew, and if not, why not? If so, how can we help with that? If not, would a discount help? But all you did was ask the questions and you never actually got anyone to sign the renewal paperwork for their membership. So if you're journaling without a goal, you're just going to be reading the script and doing what you're told to do, the same way you would in that phone call. But if the trainer had said to the trainee at the end of the call, make sure you have a solid reason why they aren't renewing, or make sure you have a renewal offer for them ready to sign, then all of a sudden you have a goal, you know why you're doing it, and you're far more likely to achieve results than if you didn't. So make sure you understand what your goal is. That's all I can say on that. So, for example, let's say that your goal is to heal a specific trauma. What does that mean? What does that look like? So, you have a specific trauma that F's with you on a regular basis, or you think about it a lot. The first thing that you want to do is get to the root of it. When did it start? Is it a specific thing that happened that you think about a lot? Or are you thinking about a side effect of the trauma, aka an emotion or trigger that you think about a lot? Once you know what your situation is that you're dealing with, you can then start to ask yourself insightful questions to sort of connect the dots, get to the root of it. So if it's, oh, there's this feeling I always have every single time that I'm sitting in traffic and I don't really know what it is, it's just overwhelming and it's scary. Okay, well, when is the first time I remember feeling that feeling, whether I was in traffic or not? And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, when I was a kid, my dad had really bad road rage and he would get really angry when we were in traffic. And that's the first time I remember feeling this feeling. Oh, so now as an adult, even though I'm in charge and I'm safe and no one's freaking out, my nervous system is reacting the exact same way that it did when I was a kid. So you start to connect the dots by asking yourself simple questions. Once you get to the root, let's say it's that your dad was really angry in traffic, then you can finish processing the emotion. You can imagine yourself going into it and giving that inner child what he or she needed in that moment. Or you can journal how it should have been. Oh, well, he should have been calm and I deserved to have a calm, regulated father. So I'm going to reclaim that for myself now by actively choosing to be calm, regulated, and happy when sitting in traffic. Maybe we put on a good song or whatever. Another thing that you can do is journaling for self-discovery. So you might have things that you just want to understand about yourself. Why does this one thing make me really angry? Why does this one thing always trigger me? Pick something you want to understand about yourself, and then you ask yourself questions. When was the first time I felt this way? How do other people make me feel this way? When do I enjoy this, or when do I dislike this? Is this something that I want to change about myself, etc., etc.? And you start to understand better. Another thing that you can do is, oh, I've traced the trauma, or I've traced a memory, a trigger, a feeling back to an instance from childhood. Fantastic. Now, let the inner child take the pen and write whatever they want to write. How did they feel? What were they thinking? Let them write everything. Maybe it makes no sense at all. Maybe it makes all the sense in the world. It doesn't matter. Don't overthink it. Just let it happen. Another thing that you can do if it's really hard for you to kind of like get in like the inner child persona is you can then write a letter to inner child as adult version of you. Hey, inner child, I just remembered this memory that we went through. Wow, that really sucks. Like we shouldn't have had to experience that. I can only imagine how scary that was for you because I'm realizing that I still have some residual fear around it. I want to validate the fact that you didn't deserve to go through that and that as an adult, we're actually doing different and better now, and here's how, and I love you so much, and I'm just sending you the biggest hug in the world, right? Like you can write your whole letter to inner child and do inner child healing that way. So it's really interesting. And a lot of it really, at least the type of journaling that I'm most familiar with, comes down to asking yourself questions. And then of course there's venting to release journaling, which is just like, wow, I'm so fucking annoyed today. And this is why, and these are all the things that pissed me off. And now I'm overwhelmed. And to add to that, give yourself little bonus points. At the end of that, basically be like, okay, what can I do for myself? Well, how can I show myself self-love through this? And it lets you release it all, throw it all away, get rid of it. You don't have to fucking keep it in because keeping it in is how we get fucking cancer and shit. Like, don't keep that shit in. And then you can give yourself something in return, like a bath or a nice dinner or sit down and watch TV, take the fucking pressure off. eat some popcorn, put a fucking heating pad on your shoulders, whatever it is, right? And you can reward yourself and offer yourself self-love and compassion through the stressful day that you had in that way. I also want to tell you that I literally built you a tool for this. So if it's something that you're feeling like you can't do on your own, or you're just not in a place where you understand how to form the right self-discovery questions, I made you a worksheet with 120 different prompts. It actually has more than 120 different prompts. They're all for journaling. And this particular worksheet covers like avoidance, reactions and triggers, feelings and emotions, thoughts and beliefs, being too hard on yourself, free form journaling, and just kind of like how to like get that started, and then anger as well. So if any of those things are things that you're wanting to deeper dive with when it comes to journaling, there's over 120 prompts. There's like 25 prompts for avoidance, 18 prompts for reactions and triggers, 24 prompts for anger, the list goes on. So if you want to grab that worksheet for yourself, it's literally $11. It is on my website, thecenteredsoulco.com, under the digital products link. When you go to shop all, you can grab that. That is a huge way to kickstart and propel your journaling journey, your self-discovery. Highly recommend that. But also, I hope that you feel equipped to do this on your own, even without the tool. But I wanted to build you something to sort of help get you there if you're like, I need extra support. Another thing I'll tell you too, if you need extra support, I have full trauma healing sessions, intuitive sessions, and Reiki energy healing sessions that you can book with me on my website, thecenteredsoulco.com. And I will also tell you, I have mini readings that you can do too. Those are much more affordable and they're more geared towards, I have a specific goal, I have a specific pattern, I have a specific want. You can grab those under the shop all section as well. Those are listed under digital services, I believe. Those are a lot cheaper and just quick. They get sent to you, you're good. You get the intuitive information and it just lines you right up with where you need to be. So those are kind of the ways that you can get extra support with this. I also want to give you one last tip. If you are unsure of what to journal and how to journal, pick your highest value right now, your goal right now. Maybe it's self-discovery. Then pick your goal within that. I want to understand why I have the reactions that I have. Then for questions to ask yourself, who, what, when, where, and why. Who makes me feel this way? When do I feel this way the most? What makes me feel this way? Where do I notice myself feeling this way the most? You can be physical location or internal, like in your body or in your mind. And then why? Why do I feel this way? And so if you just take anything you want to journal on and go who, what, when, where, why, you can really get deep and get a lot of self-discovery going without having to think much at all, because you just use that who, what, when, where, why rule. It's all about asking questions. That is the whole fucking goal here. Journaling, truly, if you're journaling to heal, understand, reprogram, and rewire your brain, it comes down to asking yourself the right questions, and it needs to come from a place of curiosity, not self-judgment or self-criticism. If you are struggling with self-judgment or self-criticism, you need to watch the Stop Fucking Ignoring Yourself episode of my podcast. I will link it below for you. That episode talks so much about loving and understanding yourself unconditionally, regardless of your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, because it is so fucking easy to judge and criticize ourselves for our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. And we are just unsubscribing to that mindset right fucking now. And we're going to go forward with all of who we are, loving it unconditionally, because girl, you can't fucking change it. I am so fucking serious. Okay. That is all that I have for you today. If you have questions, leave them below. I would love to hear them. I would love to answer them for you. If you have specific topics that you want me to cover, you can request that under the Request a Podcast section on my website. I might make it a shorter YouTube video like this, or I might make it an entire podcast episode. For full support, intuitive information, energy healing, and trauma healing, book with me, thecenteredsoulco.com. Book a full session. You can also get the minis if the full session is not accessible to you. It will get you moving. It will get the ball rolling for you. Make sure that you head to my website and get that digital worksheet for your 120 plus journal prompts. And if you want to request more worksheets on different topics, you can do so by emailing me, DanielleRose@thecenteredsoulco.com. And of course, make sure that you like, follow, subscribe, and save for later. And I will see you in the next one.